Thank you for joining us for our monthly multidisciplinary webinar approaches to end homelessness series. My name is Rashana Walker. I'm a program supervisor here with Housing and Workforce Solutions, the Continuum of Care. I know we've been on a hiatus for a couple of months, but we want to jump right back into the swing of things and offering these types of trainings or informationals to our community. Gershom, if you can advance. So the purpose of these webinars is to provide an opportunity to engage with our local and regional experts on best practice, advocacy tools, and resources that are available within our county to prevent and end homelessness, which is our mission, right? These webinars are recorded. If you ever miss a webinar series, feel free to go back to our website and check them out because we do provide some um, great information for all of our providers in our jurisdiction. So just want to let you guys know, since we're jumping back into the swing of things, our next webinar will be March 5th. And that presentation will be on anti-discrimination and equal access. So we want to make sure that we're looking at the regulations and compliance on, and that will be provided by Urban Initiatives. So um, we want to, given the climate that we're currently facing, we felt it was necessary to kick things off with an informational forum that is very relevant to what we've been hearing in the news and what's been going on in our community. So I do want to, before I introduce them, I do want to check to see if we have representatives that will be providing the presentation from TODEC. Is TODEC on the call?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So today we have representatives from TODEC Legal Center joining us, and they will provide us some information for all of us to take back to the community that we're serving, just to give some kind of information to ease what is going on with the current climate. So was that Luce I heard? Luce or someone from
Yes, I'm
TODEC?
here.
Go ahead and take it away and feel free to share your screen for the presentation. Luce, can you hear me? There you go. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but thank you for the opportunity for us to present. Again, Luz Gallegos with TODEC, and today we want to share a little bit of what's happening and an update, but then also some resources that you all should be aware of that we have here in the region. Uh, so, as you all know, with the current administration, there's so much fear, right? There's so much fear from community, and what we have been doing. Um, even before the election, we started preparing as an organization because we didn't know what the election's outcome was going to be, but we knew that we had to prepare for anything. So through our 40 years of work, we've been through so many different situations with as it relates to immigrants and farm workers in the region, and we learn from all those experiences, and that's why we always have to prepare for anything that would come down. So as you know, with just a quick update as an overview of what's happening in the region. Right away, like the very next day after elections, we started. We before we even opened the office and our staff came to open the office sites we have throughout the regions, we already had a large number of community waiting outside of our doors. Community not wanting to go to work, kids not wanting to go to school, and not wanting to let their parents go to work. So we were prepared for this types of situations. So right away we started our Know Your Rights. And Know Your Rights, our constitutional rights, has been around forever. It's our constitution, and basically it protects all of us regardless of our immigration status. So I want to share a story of this mother and child that there are with we hear so many stories, but that day after election they came to our Paris office and they attended the our Know Your Rights session early in the morning. But when they saw me, they asked me if they could talk to me in private. I said yes, let me just get settled, I'll bring you into my office. So I called them in, and right when I shut the door, the mom starts crying and the little boy starts crying, and he's, oh, what are we gonna do? My little boy didn't want to let me go to work because he said that Trump was going to deport me, and he doesn't want to go to school. And I talked to them, and I talked to the little boy, and we can't judge community for being or fearing the way they do because they hear all these situations and they're in a very vulnerable situation. So this is just one story of so many we hear on the daily basis. And through our work, we know that we have to be ready for anything. And our program that we've had forever with our community education, it not only talks about immigrant integration, but our disasters, our even with COVID and with immigration, it's always get informed, get prepared, and resist. In Spanish, infórmate, prepárate y resiste. Basically, we are educating our community, but also organizing strategies to continue to protect them, and so they could be prepared, because we know education is power. And with their family plans, especially for the families that have underage children. And we had situations when parents got deported and the kids, they didn't have an emergency plan in place or caregiver affidavit. The kids were turned over to Child Protective Services and they were placed in foster. So going through that trauma of a child, we are informing families and school districts that we need to continue preparing our community for the worst. Our intention is not of creating more fear than what community has, but we're realists and we know what the potential of outcomes that could happen, especially here in Riverside County, Paris, all the way to Tijuana, and Coachella, all the way to Mexicali. We are a border region, so we're used to seeing border patrol patrolling our streets. And if we don't have an immigration status or we don't know your rights, guess what? You could get deported, and we learned through history. So through that, we've been not only preparing community, but also partners like you all, so we could be working together and preparing. These are some of our three of our office sites. We actually have more. We have legal staff at all our Inland Empire community colleges that are attending. Our students and our families. So we're very much deep rooted from Blythe in the Palm Desert, Moreno Valley, Riverside, Norco. So we're kind of everywhere where we have legal staff. But the way we've been, our strategy is we know united we are stronger, and our commitment as an organization is to respond to crisis. So right away, we started with our education and resource to prepare community, know your rights, red cards, preparedness plans, like how I just mentioned, and also our emergency hotline. Red card goes a long way. We have dispersed over, I want to say, 300,000 red cards, not only to community, but partners that are asking us for red cards. So if you would like to have some red cards, they're free. You just go on our website under resources and place your order. And this is a way that we are resisting the red card. It's been around forever within the immigrant work, immigrant justice work. It's a double-sided card. Basically, on one side, it's basically in English, and it basically says, "I do not want to speak with you. I know my rights," and it's in English, and it's handed over if the community member is detained by immigration because they have the right to remain silent. On the other side, it's in Spanish, and it basically explains how they should partake in their constitutional rights, not opening the door, not having the right to remain silent, not signing anything, and asking to make sure that they want to see a judge. So these strategies have helped so many community members in the past, and they continue helping community members. If immigration doesn't have any type of arrest or any type of proof that this person's undocumented, they will and the community members knows how to execute their rights. They're able to see a judge, and the judge could let them release them on a bond. So that continues to happen. So I want to share a story that came in from our Coachella office. A farm worker came into the office, a lady, and she's all, oh my gosh, this red card. I got stopped by Border Patrol, and I gave him my card, and I stayed quiet, and he just let me go. And she came back. She's, I need more so I could pass to my friends. But every case is different, right? But we know that the Constitution protects us, and the administration, even with this administration and their deputies, if they violate law, constitutional rights, and there's administrative errors, there could be a situation of a big legal situation if they're violating constitutional rights of community members, and by doing administrative errors. So that's the power of education, right? But also, what I want to share is our hotline. This hotline, it's been around for almost over 30 years, and this one deals only with immigration activity. We turn it on when we have situations like this. Right now, it's working 24/7 thanks to our team and hundreds of volunteers that are responding. We train hundreds of volunteers that are first responders. Are also answering the lines because it's like a call center. So when people hear something about immigration or see it on social media or they see it themselves, we ask them to document it, pictures, videos, call us. We need detailed notes, address, date, and time, and for them to call us or text us. At that time, when we get this report, our team that's answering the calls sends out a blast to people that are in within that area that we trained, that are able to be first responders. At that point, whoever's in that available will go on and make sure that they go to the location and document to see if there's any activity. And at that point, if there's no activity, we'll call back the callers that notified us and let them know this is false news. Please don't spread the word, because what's happening with social media, people are just resharing things that are not confirmed, and that's causing a hysteria around community, to the point that we had work sites in Coachella that their supervisors called us. Nobody showed up to work because they said there was a raid, but there hasn't been any operation. So please help us get the word out. We have been recommending, and we recommend to everybody, do not share unconfirmed immigration activity. We have an actual website that we're putting, if there's some confirmed activity, it's going on the website. Thank God. And we pray that we don't have any activity up to now. In the Inland Empire, we haven't had no operations of massive raids. We have had calls coming in that immigration, but they've been false alarms, or community thinks, we had people thinking it was a immigration stop, and it was mock checks or emission checks. But community is at its highest alert. So, they're thinking it's immigration, but there's active targeted arrests, how they've always been with ICE, that they're looking for someone that's a high priority of a crime, and those are still going on. It's business as usual, but as of now, as of today, as of this hour, we have not had a big raid operation. So we will not post. We will not even post if we see Border Patrol, because Border Patrol's in our streets. They sit on our highways. That's their area, right? We see them at the coffee shop. So we tell community, this is business as usual. We won't confirm that because it's not an actual operation. So, I just wanted to share that with you all. And also knowing the importance of knowing our constitutional rights, and also continue to make sure that all our partners that work with immigrants community, that they are culturally competent, that we don't use the word illegal, we use the word undocumented. So that's something that we always share with partners. And we know that no human being is illegal. Why? Because we all have constitutional rights, regardless of our immigration status. And I also want to share some pro-immigrant laws that we have here in the state of California. That thanks to a lot of advocacy that we've done in past years, we were able to pass and implement in the state. And now further on, yesterday we were able to work. We've been working with the supervisor's office with Manuel Perez and Ixtian right after election, elevating the stories. And from that, there came action from there, listening to our constituents and putting something in place to make community know that the county of Riverside is going to respect state law. Our sheriff has to respect state law, and in our county respect all the laws that we have in the state, and making sure that community, putting out a resolution yesterday that was passed that make that to let community know that they're valued, and that we support community because they're not criminals, right? Our community is it's a strong workforce, especially our service workers, our farm workers that are constantly working in the fields. So these are some of the state laws we were able to pass. The driver's license law in the state of California that gives an opportunity for undocumented immigrants to get a state license. And this is important because we don't want them to carry their matriculas or their pasaportes, because if they're detained and they're caught up in something, that will give evidence to the agents that where the country they come from, it'll be easier for them to deport them from there to that area if they don't know their rights. So driver's license is in our state, and it's been in our state. During Trump 1.0, we were able to pass in 2018 AB 450. This law is protect around what we call worksite rates, or como they call enredadas en el trabajo. Uh, so they're basically what they are I-9 audits, and we all know we all have an I-9. And so before uh, immigration could just show up at a work site and do an audit, and that they would sweep people up. But now, thanks to the advocacy that we're able to do in the state of California, before immigration comes into any work site, they have to notify the employer with time, or the union, and the union or the employer has 72 hours. Within 72 hours, they need to notify their workers. At that point, that's a cushion, a safety net. The workers, if they might call in sick that day, so it's a cushion. So, I know I don't have a lot of time, but I want to really go quickly. But of course, SB 54, which is a sanctuary, better known as a sanctuary law, state law in the state of California, that prohibits any type of law enforcement to collaborate with immigration. So that's something that, again, it was reaffirmed yesterday with the resolution that was passed, that, no, especially in our county of Riverside or in the state of California, law enforcement will not and should not cooperate with immigration. And of course, Medi-Cal expansion, that we were working very closely with our county partners, the PSS, to continue. We passed the law. Now we've been working on implementation to make sure all our immigrants know that they have access to medical, full school medical if they qualify. Another law that we were able to pass is AB 1699, that makes schools safe for immigrant students. Although there is a lot of say with no safe places, but in the state of California, we made sure to pass this law when this administration during Trump 1.0, that prohibits any type of discrimination, and allows schools to make their own policies and protocols to protect their students and families. And then moving on, we continue informing the community the risk of marijuana. Although it's a state law, community could put themselves at risk if they're not yet a U.S. citizen. That includes legal permanent residents. It includes DACA or anybody that's not yet a U.S. citizen, because this could be seen as they could criminalize community for having any drug substance if they're caught up with immigration. Even our legal permanent residents, the ones that have a green card holders, are at risk, because if they if they are outside living outside of the country for a period of 6 months or more in a window of 5 years, they could lose their immigration status. That's why we promote become a citizen. We've been helping community for over 40 years at no cost if they qualify under programming, to become citizens. And that's the safety net that we have as immigrants. And then just moving on, knowing our rights. This is very important that we have all these publications. If you could go on our website, you could download them or ask us for prints. All our partners have them, right? And most of our partners have them. They've been reaching out. They have the red card. So This is a way to educate community of our constitutional rights. They have the right to remain silent. They have the right not to sign. We encourage the parents to do a family plan and a caregiver affidavit if they're ever caught up. We're also telling our families that if we're vulnerable populations, that we need to be honest with our kids, because they shouldn't open the door. Before they open the door, they should look outside the window. They have to have a family plan, because if you open the door, you're basically giving access to folks to come in, and you lose that right. We had in the past when a family here in the Paris area, in a park. They were in a park after Prop 187 happened. There was this situation happened. We had a family that was at the park, and the border patrol came up and asked them their status. They knew their rights. They said, I'm not going to talk to you. Here's my red card. And they weren't able to get it. But what happened? The child came out of the playground, and the immigration said, oh, these are your parents. And the child started talking, because they could question kids underage. And at that point, they had all the evidence they needed. So it's important for us to continue telling our families and parents that, we should talk to our kids. They know what's going on because it's all over the news. But this is part of like the education that we provide, how immigration looks. TSA is also under Homeland Security, so they could also enforce law at airports and anywhere where TSA works. They are also part of Homeland Security. So that's a risk area as well, especially right now more than ever with this current administration. But I'm going to fast forward, because a lot of this is community education. What we provide to community is the difference between search warrants and arrest warrants. So search warrants, if they don't have a search warrant, they can't come into any of our buildings. So that's something important, or our houses, and it has to be signed by a judge. um, Difference between judicial warrants and administrative warrants. Administrative warrants is a warrant for an arrest, for somebody that they're looking for. And again, judicial warrant is something that the U.S. court gives, that basically gives the right. It's a search warrant that they have to open the door if they do have a search warrant. I do want to. I'm going to
Lu-
go ahead. Yes.
Luce, I just want to let you know you don't have to speed through it. You have the floor. You have plenty of time.
Okay, it's just that my voice is, we've been talking forever, and I feel like I'm gonna lose it if I don't speak faster. But this was very important, because we want to share all this with you all. Um, what we are advising all our partners, school districts. We've been working with the majority of the school districts in the region to help them think through, as far as their policies and their protocols, what's a public space versus what's a private space. Because with the executive orders that have been coming out now, schools, spaces like clinics, like even county departments, they're not safe spaces. So we have created protocols, templates for partners to take on and work within their legal councils, independent councils, and their boards, to really implement safety for their community. Because if they're helping our community, we want to make sure we're able to say, these places have a protocol, and it's continue going to the doctor, kids continue going to the schools, continue applying for social services, or continue going to our food banks. So see, these are some of the recommendations that we are also telling partners. What's a private space? Because if it's a private space, it's a private space. They cannot come into our private spaces. Public spaces are different, but every agency, every organization, every church has their own policy. So we're having partners think through to create really strong policy protocols, and also training the staff to know how to act if immigration tries to come into our spaces where we are serving vulnerable populations. So these are some of the recommendations. We also have different videos that are on our website. How to record if they come to our sites. How to record. How to document. Because if they're violating law and they're causing administrative errors, that could be a cause of a lawsuit against them, because they violated laws. So it's very important that all of us have these protocols in place and are able to not only keep community safe, but keep our employees safe. Because a lot of us hire documented student people, right? People that are able to work legally, but they also are at risk. So how are we going to protect not only community but also our staff that has immigration status, but it's a temporary status. So these are some of the practices that we recommend. This is like a 2-hour session, but I'm narrowing it down. But if there's any interest in having this session, it's actually longer than this. I try to cut it to really from experience. We put together these sessions and we've been giving them to all our partners that are reaching out, helping them think through how are they going to establish their safety for their clients and for our community, because we have to work together in order so our community continues to be safe. And I want to share I want to share our website where you could find a lot of our information of TODEC and how you could gather information for community through our website under programs, legal services, and community education. If any of our partners ever want to ask for a community education, they could just click on here and ask us to table or ask us to come out and train their employees or help us think through policies and protocols or know your rights session. That's where community could ask for our support. And this schedule an appointment, this is more for our legal department. If there's anybody that needs legal support, we ask community to go through this portal because it's much quicker than calling us, and they could request an appointment. Partners, this is how our partners refer to us. They fill it out for the clients and they said who the referral agency is. So please utilize our website. We have made it like very accessible for community. And in our resource page, this is where you'll find a lot of different publications and resources for not only community, but for partners. Under Know Your Rights, this is where you could solicit request red cards. We've to for example, for Coachella School District, we dispersed over 60,000 red cards, and they're dispersed to all their schools, to students and families, and same like other districts. But that was an order that came up again right now. And on here, you could download the caregiver affidavit, the family plans, download any of our flyers. We have different videos that we produce in English, Spanish, and the different indigenous language that we have here in Riverside County and the San Bernardino area county as well. And it's just a way that it's centralized, that many people are sharing them on social media or requesting information from us. But that's my presentation. I don't know if you have any questions, but if you are all interested in diving in deeper to the other presentation where we go in deeper for protocols, that's something that Imperial County, they reached out to us. So our staff attorneys will be they're the ones that, handle these presentations, because there's a lot of different legalities that, to help partners think through. But we are here to help. For us, we have to work together with everybody and anybody to keep our community safe. And it just continues to break our hearts to see the fear and anxiety of our community, especially farm workers that many, are saying that they fear going to work, but if they don't work, they don't eat, they have to go. And that's about, we're giving them education, and we see the difference when they come to our Know Your Rights. They come in with that fear and they go out emboldened that they know they have rights and they're going to get ready for anything. But we need to continue living. We don't want to create more fear. We want our community being resilient, a resilient community that they are. But I really appreciate the time for this presentation, and if there's any questions, I'm here to help in any way I can.
Hi, Luz.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Sorry.
Go ahead, Gershom.
Sorry, Rashad. Hi, Luz. This is Gershom. Thank you very much for sharing your presentation. We do have a few questions in the chat. I'm going to go by order. So I see here the first question by Lupe. She's asking, will you be sharing TODEC's PowerPoint for reference? Lupe, we will be adding the presentation to our Google Drive. I actually dropped the link in the bottom. And then, Luz, if you can, please send over the presentation to my email, and I can post it onto the Google Drive as well. And then we have our second question by Victor. The question is there a number that people can call to get emergency assistance in the case they are being detained?
Yes, that hotline that I shared, it's on our website under resources. They could call that number, but what they could call that number, and we'll definitely connect them right away. It's 24/7. You know that hotline's 24/7.
And then the second question by Allison is the question is, can you speak to any legal rights for shelters and housing programs? That's the first part of the question.
Yes, that's we would love to set up a presentation just for that. It's part of the protocols that we are advising for all partners to establish policies and protocols, because housing developments, everybody is at risk, and we need to make sure that our partners have strong policies and protocols. But also, it's not just creating them, but the implementation, having them training our staff so they're able to respond to any of these situations. So we could definitely follow up with a like more in-depth training on that. So we could, bring in more of the resources that we have developed for our partners.
And then the second part of Allison's question, she's asking, do we need to be notified in advance of enforcement activities like the employer protections you mentioned?
Yes, by law, immigration has to notify the workers and at the employer. And at that point, the employer has 72 hours to notify their employees. So I'm going to share all of these different publications with you all, because I think it's important that employers know their responsibilities, because if they don't, they'll get fined, because there's consequences with when you don't follow state law.
And then we have a question from Kelly Eberly. She's asking, do you have any updated resources for the homeless?
For the homeless, I would say that Know Your Rights on our website. You could download all our updated resources that we have on the resource page, and that's a centralized page that we have for all the publications I shared. You could download them from there, and you could share them or print them. But we do have publications that are printed, so um, just make sure that you could download as much as you can. And remember, we focus with undocumented community, immigrant community, farm worker community, and we do have a lot of homeless that are undocumented. So they have the same constitutional rights that we all do. So it's important that they also carry a red card. So if you guys have, order red cards from our website and we'll ship them to you, or you could pick them up at any of our office sites.
Thank you. And then Allison, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Luz, I just have a follow-up to the question that I asked. Thank you for answering that. Are you saying that you understand for employers that we need to have advance notification so that we can let our employees know? Do we have any legal protections for ICE showing up at our housing programs or our shelter programs? Do they need to provide us with any kind of advance notice, or they can show up at any time with a warrant?
Yeah, they could show up at any time. Even without a warrant, they'll try to show up because they have in the past. But that's why it's important for you all to create policies and protocols, so that way your staff knows how to respond. So that's a deeper dive. And I would love to, if there's that interest, maybe our friends here with the housing could help us organize that, and we could bring in our staff attorneys so they could go in deeper with you all to support you all to think through and creating these policies.
And then we have a question from Christina. Christina's asking, how about county workers? Christina, I don't know if you want to come off mute and clarify your question.
Hi, so I'm asking, how about county workers? So like, what if I'm a county worker, right? And I work out in the field. What if they come up to us while we're out in the field with one of our clients? How do we react to that? Is my question.
Did we lose Luce or? I believe Luce got disconnected from the call.
We can give her a couple
Y-
of moments. Maybe
Okay.
she'll hop back on. Um, just giving her just maybe a minute or so. But if she doesn't hop back on, we will be sure to um, jot down all of these questions that did not get answered and and relay them all out to all of you if she's not able to join back on. But this was some really great information. I love the fact that she's kind of dispelling some of the myths that are making everyone um so his in an uproar or hysteric or scared or feel fearful. I love how she wanted to kind of give some information that will kind of calm down some of the worry that a lot of individuals in our areas are experiencing or feeling. So I hate that she's not on so that we can thank her again and her organization. That organization is doing some amazing work in Riverside County and abroad, but I just want to point out and call out the work that they have been doing for so long in Riverside County. This organization is amazing. So I just want to call out to see if was able to join us again. Um, but if not, again, we'll make sure that these questions are answered and relayed to you all um, through email and on posted on our website. I do see, Wayne, you have a question, and hopefully I can answer it. If not, then we can get back to you.
You absolutely can answer it. Um, so I have some resources that we've been passing around. They're not vetted by TODEC, and I was wondering if you would mind if I shared them. They're like flyers and stuff like that with some information, but they haven't been vetted by TODEC. I some of it we got from the National Homeless Law Center, which I'm gonna put the link in the chat, which I also feels like a really good source for this type of information. In general, everything about homelessness actually is they're a fantastic organization. So do you mind if I share like what we have just with the grain of salt that it hasn't been vetted by TODEC?
Just know that it hasn't, just everyone knows that it hasn't been vetted, but you said you received them from where again?
A variety of sources, some of them Contra Costa, some of them from
Okay,
Alameda County, some of them. I mean, because we have offices throughout the state, so we're sharing on our internal chat boards about like all kinds of flyers, advice. But like I said,
absolutely.
it really hasn't been vetted, and I don't want to steer anybody wrong, and so I
Got
don't
it.
want to. I just want to make sure it's cool if I share it.
Yes, no
Okay.
problem at all. And I do want to take this time also to thank all of you for continuing to work with the individuals in our community because our mission is and will remain to end homelessness in Riverside County. So I want to thank all of the work that you all are continuing to do despite the climate that we're facing right now. Wayne, your agency has been phenomenal within our county. So thank you, Wayne. It sounds like many of you may be already doing some kind of research and work and advocacy for the individuals that you are serving here in Riverside County. So kudos to you all. Hats off to you for always sticking to the mission of ending homelessness in Riverside County. Do we have Luce? Did Luce end up joining us again?
So we got in contact with her, but she said she lost signal. So
Okay.
we're gonna give it a few more minutes to see if she can hop back on. But if not, we can definitely take these questions down and share them over with Luce, and we'll do our best with relaying the information out to our partners.
We can give it a couple more minutes. It's that awkward silence. So Gershom, just to confirm, she's trying to get back on, right?
Yeah, yes, that is correct.
Okay.
She's currently trying to hop back on. Yeah, let's Fingers crossed. Let's hope so.
Okay. So, but in the meantime, again, I will I want to thank all of you all for joining, and to remind you all that we have started off or kicked off this webinar series again after our couple months of hiatus. Our next one is March 5th, where the presentation will be on anti-discrimination and equal access. A look at the regulations and compliance, and urban initiatives will be conducting that training for us. And I saw Emma's hand. So Emma, if you have anything to add.
Yes, thank you. Not in regards to the training, Roshana. So if you had, I wasn't sure if you finished your thought on that.
I did. I
Oh,
did.
okay, perfect. I did want to mention the Rapid Response Network. The county has in years past worked with several nonprofits that work in the space of providing services to migrants, individuals who are undocumented, farm workers, et cetera. And we have since gathered and had a meeting actually last week to just talk about the current climate, and also to um, bring everyone back together and get our finger on the pulse of which organizations are working in this space, which organizations are wanting to come to do work in this space, and really getting those meetings going again. And the mission behind the Rapid Response Network is really to be able to leverage resources and to immediately identify a resource or a need within that community. And so if you have a client who has a specific need, then we can send that out through our rapid response network and identify someone who is able to meet that need. And so if you are an agency that is wanting to be a part of that effort, we are, really leaning on our faith-based community and our CBOs to help come alongside the county and help us support this community. We are asking that if you are a nonprofit who maybe isn't necessarily working in that space, but knows of a nonprofit that you refer them to us, so that we can bring them into the fold of the coordination and planning efforts. We are looking to identify host families for individuals. And so, again, if you are a part of a faith-based community or know of one who may be interested in doing work specifically in that area, that has been identified as a need. And so please put your interest in the chat. And if you have an agency that you'd like to refer to us, please have them email us at coc at rivco.org so that we can get in contact with them. And we don't have a date for our next meeting just yet, but we will send out the information through our COC listserv. So just keep an eye out for it.
Thank you, Emma, for adding that. It's much needed right now, especially even now more than ever. I do want to also, at this time, if there are no other questions or comments, I do want to solicit, if you feel like there is a topic of need that we can discuss at these webinar series, please feel free to reach out to us at coc@rivco.org and suggest that topic as one of the training topics or informational topics for our webinar series. We will be sure to get it on the schedule, because we think we know what is needed, but you are the experts, and we want to hear from you what you guys what you feel that will be much helpful to all of our continuum of care members. So please feel free to email us any areas of interest, any topics that we should we should schedule or get on the schedule for these webinar series. And before I dismiss, I want to make sure, were we able to get Luz back on the call?
I don't know. I don't think she will be able to hop back on, but
It's okay.
yeah.
It's okay. I like Mari. We're gonna take down these the
Mhm.
questions and get that out to all of everyone who attended the call, just so that we can get those questions answered. It sounds like they have a slew of information and resources on their website. Please, please, please feel free to go and visit their website, request some of those red cards, do whatever you need to do to assist the individuals in your community with knowing their rights. So with that being said, we thank you again for attending our website. I'm sorry, for attending our webinar series. Thank you for joining us again, rejoining us again. We will keep going with this monthly, starting now. And also, again, feel free to reach out to us with any topics of need or areas of interest. And I will see you all March 5th. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.